Hey guys, it's Drew. Thank you for checking out the Sober Fix podcast, where we talk about addiction and living life sober, one day at a time. If you like what you hear, go ahead and follow us. And if you get some time, check out our Instagram page at the Sober Fix podcast, and also our YouTube and TikTok at the Sober Fix. Hope you enjoy the episode. Hey, what's up, guys? We are on episode 55, I believe. It's Drew from the Sober Fix podcast. And I got another guest on today. We've got Lori M. And Lori, how you doing today?
Not too bad, Drew. How are you?
I am good. I want to kind of start in the beginning. I know you've been sober since 2017. Where did you grow up? How was life in the beginning?
For me, I grew up in Toronto. So I grew up around the west end of Toronto. Grew up in like a family without alcohol, without drugs. My mother was a nurse. My father was a draftsman. I have one sister. And I had a really great childhood, to be honest with you. And then some trauma began to happen in my life as a child, from a near drowning to getting bullied at school and beaten up and kind of tortured. Like, these boys used to hold me down and choke me and all these nasty things when I was in grade 5. Um, um, and yeah, things were relatively not too bad until my parents divorced when I was 11. And then there was a lot that kind of happened after that. But I really didn't have a bad childhood. Like, my story isn't like a lot of other people's, I find. I got addicted to pills really early from a car accident that I was in, and from dental work. Back in the day, because I'm 61 right now, all the doctors and dentists used to hand out Percocets like they were candy. And when my body got a hold of one of those, it just thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. So that was really easy to get addicted to, were the Percocets. And even though it was for pain, my body wanted more. So it was pills initially. And then that galloped up to other things. Being a nurse myself, I was a nurse for 33 years. I found that snorting the white stuff was taking a lot of my money. So I decided to start an IV on myself because it was easy. Isn't that crazy? It's crazy. It just gets deeper and deeper and deeper, and I would only have to use a little bit and it would last me a lot longer if I just smashed it. So that's what I ended up doing. And then it got worse from there, until one day my daughter walked into my bedroom and she saw a needle in my purse, and she said to me, if you wait, how did she word it? Oh my God, I can't believe I'm not. She said, tell me that you love me, or like, that's it. And I said, I don't love you. I actually said, I don't love you, so I could use my drug. Like, that is the most insane thing I believe that really happened to me while I was using. I would never, ever, ever tell my daughter that I didn't love her. That's how strong these drugs are. They make you do and say whatever to anybody to just be able to use what your body is craving. And that really is one of my biggest remember when's, things to get through, to not beat myself up on, to ask forgiveness for. And that one's really hard to live with. But she knows I was really sick. I knew I was sick. And my daughter's the one that helped to get me into rehab. And I'm still here and I'm alive. And she saved my life by really pushing me to go to rehab. And I thank God for her. I really do.
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff I can relate to. I had a good childhood. I remember in the very beginning, I'd hear these stories because you hear from a lot of people, kind of like you mentioned, that a lot of us grow up with these really rough childhoods. And it's almost in my head, it was easy to say, okay, they had a really rough childhood. It makes sense maybe that they went to drugs to cope. And that was kind of confusing for me because I didn't have that. And I used to try and look around and say, man, like, what is the reason why I am doing these drugs? And so I could totally relate to that. And the opiates, I always feel bad. See, because I was a person that turned to the opiate pills, the Norcos, the Vicodin, morphine by choice. I was trying to get high. And I always feel bad for those that ended up on opiates because of the dentist or because of going to the doctor or a car accident. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I want
Because
to
like I
ask.
knew right from wrong. Like I wasn't stupid. I was educated, very well educated. I have a master's degree in nursing, which is crazy. And I'm still like sticking stuff in my body to try to cope. Um, then there's so many other things that have happened to me as well from um, having a very abusive first marriage. That was a lot of the reasons why I would, if I wasn't in physical pain, I still wanted to numb myself to be able to uh, not feel his words hit me so strongly, I guess. There's lots of reasons from trauma to trying to escape, to make life better. Um, there were lots of people that said to me, just have a drink, just go home and have a drink. Like, you don't need to have drugs. So they weren't really even helping me by suggesting alcohol. But of course, it was me that tipped the bottle up to my mouth. So why did I choose to do that when I knew better? But all of the frontal lobe trauma, all the stuff that happens to your brain while you're putting all this garbage into your body, you can't decipher right from wrong sometimes. It just feels better to escape than to try to fight and figure things out, I guess.
Yeah, I want to ask you, what was that like having to go into work? And that's really impressive, by the way. I'm currently taking nursing classes right now, all my prereqs and stuff. And what
Mhm.
was it like trying to maintain your job while also being addicted to the opiates? What was a typical day like?
Oh man. Um, always trying to, like, I was always preoccupied with trying to find more. So that was the worst part of it because you were always on. Like, you were never, you're never relaxed when you're using. I was never relaxed when I was using. Um, I, I had this image to maintain, right? This professional image. And I didn't want to be known as an addict or an alcoholic. So I think it was, to a degree, being a professional person, I think it was um, easier to want to hide it because I didn't want people to know me as an addict or an alcoholic. I wanted the prestige of people recognizing me as a really smart, educated nurse. So not accepting it, wanting it to go away. Because this first happened to me in 1998. So we're going way back. And I just wanted it to go away. Like I said, I didn't want to go to meetings. I wanted to hide. I made up a nickname. So when I was at AA or NA meetings, nobody could maybe recognize me. You know what I mean? It was all ridiculous, but that's that's what I was living through. Never had big open conversations with family, friends. Just kept trying to hide it. And I think that was the worst. Like, I never used with people. I never sat and went to parties or things like that. I was just by myself in the washroom or in my bedroom with the door locked. And yeah, that was kind of my typical day, was just trying to get through.
Yeah, I remember in the beginning for me, I started using with a bunch of friends, but as it progressed, it just turned into just me. I didn't need anyone around. It was like you said, just kind of hyper focused on as long as I have enough, I'm okay.
Right. And if you party with somebody else, they may want some of your stuff. So it was like, no, I I never have enough. Like you never thought you had enough. Um, so that was always one of my things for wanting to do it in isolation too. But I didn't want anyone to know. And it's funny when you're really under the influence, people can see that. And for me to not think that my family couldn't see, and I would keep saying, no, I'm not drinking. No, I'm not using anything. Like, you know, my kids were begging me to stop using. It was just when I think back to the trauma too that I caused the kids and um among other things in their lives, like at least they're in therapy, they're getting their lives together. But like I said, it's hard. It's hard to deal with, even though it's been several years, almost what, 8 7 8 years. It's still it's it's so easy that even though there's all that time behind my belt, um, one wrong decision, one bad decision could get me right back. So every day I have to work on my recovery. Every day I have to think about myself and my health and what I want in my life and to be able to go forward. So that's where I am. As I said, I have a master's degree in nursing and I studied addiction my whole career because I was an addict and I wanted to know more and more and more about it. So I ended up writing a book. Um, is it okay to show it now?
Oh yeah, show it. Let's hear all about it.
So I wrote the Addiction Trauma Workbook, and up at the top it says addiction, like the ocean, is immeasurable by the surface. And it really is. Like you can't look at somebody and know just how deep their addiction goes or what they've been through. So a lot of times people can't afford rehab. They can't get into programs. And I thought at least this would be somewhere for someone to be able to start. There are 5 medical questionnaires in the very beginning from the DSM-5 that doctors question you on, whether you're an alcoholic or addict or addicted to anything. And there
Can you
are,
read one of those? Can you read one of those?
yeah, sure I can. Um, Substance is often taken in larger amounts and over a longer period than was intended. Yes or no?
Check.
That's, yeah. There's a persistent desire or unsuccessful efforts to cut down or control substance use.
Damn, I might be an addict.
You might be. A great deal of time is spent in activities necessary to obtain substance or recover from its effects.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, craving or a strong desire to urge to use a substance, like it's all here. Um,
How did you come up with the idea to write that? That's amazing.
it just um it stemmed from really from going to AA, for example. I used to go to NA, but I found a little more sobriety and people with more sobriety to be able to support you. People within AA, at least in my town, seem to have more sobriety. Um, when I was doing a step 4 in the 12-step programs, it says make a list of your shortcomings, right? And I didn't, I knew some of the things that were wrong with me, but I didn't really know everything. And I found um, if I wrote everything out for everybody, they wouldn't have to guess at, well, what should I be looking at? So I I've got 50 topics in this book. There are I've also researched the topic, so there's some information. There's over 50 references. So this isn't just stuff based on what I think. These are all um like proper references to be able to educate you on things that you may not know about anger, about resentment, about boundaries. All these things are all listed here in the book. It talks about your inner child. Like it's so jam packed. Um, it's just, it's got morals. Oh my gosh, I could read the table of contents, but
How did you feel
yeah,
when you finished it? Were you like, yes?
yeah, I felt really, really great. I felt really amazing that this was quite an accomplishment. And I know it's helped a lot of people. So I took it one step further and I had these cards made that look like the book. They're from, and I've got all these cards and I mail them out to people. So if anybody wants me to mail them some cards and stick them on posts or leave them in offices and advertise. On the back of the card, it says, "Are you tired of feeling sick? Silently enduring past trauma? You don't know where to start? Then this workbook is for you." I'm an alcoholic and addict, and I've been in recovery since 2017. I'm also a master's prepared retired RN and have an addiction treatment and care certification from UBC because I do. Uh,
Nice.
The workbook is detailed, inspirational, and includes 50 questionnaires and topics, allowing you to design a tailored framework of recovery just for you and develop a holistic lifestyle to maintain your recovery. So, in the book is also things like how to stay calm, how to introduce different healthy things into your life to be able to stay even keeled. Um, and just really try to get you through life. So if anybody does want or would want me to mail them some cards to throw these around their city or town, I'd be happy to do that. Um, the book is on Amazon. God, it's on um, Walmart.com, Waterstones, Indie Chapters. For some reason, there's great reviews on Amazon, but it seems to be cheaper on Walmart.com. So I don't know how Amazon prices their stuff, but it's
Interesting.
24.99, and I think it's 9.99 for the um, ebook. So it's in ebook style too, under Apple and Kindle. And you could get the hardcover. I'm old school, so I like to write things out with a pen. And then this book would be fantastic if you filled all this out um, at your own pace, and then you took this book if you wanted, if you had a sponsor, if you had a doctor, and you showed them what you were able to get out. It's just going to be a really therapeutic tool for you to use. I feel.
That's cool. See, and I love when you've got people that have been through addiction, right? And have been through the ringer of all that and are now sober. And then you've got people that not only have been through addiction, but have a ton of education as well. So you've got the education portion, you've got the years as an RN, and you've got the education on addiction. I feel like that's like a recipe for some amazing stuff, because people are able to hit it from all different angles. I want to ask you, I know you mentioned rehab. What was that rehab like when your daughter had got you to go?
Um, Rehab was amazing. When I first walked in, of course, well, before I went, I just tipped a bottle up to my mouth and drank. And I think it was a 2 hour drive. And I just passed out in the back seat. And when I got there, I was really scared um, because I had to get left there. Um, and the interview and intake process was extremely um, embarrassing because you do have to take off all your clothes. They have to make sure that you're not bringing any drugs into their facility, which is understandable, but it was an experience. It was an experience. Um, I went to a small rehab, and I think there were only about 12 people in there. I had social workers. I had two two main appointments with each social worker weekly, but there was a social worker available and addiction counselors 24 hours a day. So if I was working on something that we were talking about that day at, I don't know, 10 o'clock at night, and I was triggered or needed to speak to somebody, there was always somebody there. So it was fantastic. And the more I got my uh, trauma out and talked and, vented, the better I felt. And it just got better and better and better from there. They also had sober coaches. And these people were fantastic because they had been in my shoes. And it was easy to speak to somebody that I knew that had been there. Personally, I didn't want to open up to a 25-year-old person that didn't look like they'd been through anything. Do you know what I mean? Like, I really connected with people that were like me. So it was great. At first, it was really scary. I didn't really know what was going to happen. I did and I didn't. Um, and the counseling, the groups, the support, the other people there, rehab is really amazing. And it's scary, but it's the best thing you can do for you. It's all about you when you go. You get to get all your stuff out. You get to walk out of there feeling better. Like, sometimes, like when I walked in there, I pictured myself walking in and feeling like I had bricks loaded in a backpack on my back, walking in with all this weight. And each time I felt better and I would walk into a different group, that backpack got lighter and lighter and lighter. And I wasn't carrying around all this stuff. And that's really important. So when I walked out of there, I felt really good. I really, really did. People helped me understand why I would, why I was the way I was. And like I said, it really, really helped me to be able to move forward and get it together and leave the past in the past and, pick myself back up. And then there was always support. Every week I can go back, twice a week to that for like aftercare. Um, And the fact that it's a 2.5 hour drive for me, it's a little far, but I get there whenever I can. And I love seeing the people that I went to rehab with. You're like a family. Um, it's like another family. It's hard to explain. Have you ever been to rehab?
I have been, yeah, I have. As you're saying that, and I love the analogy of you walk in with all the bricks on your back, and I talk about this kind of a lot, but when I did my fourth and fifth step with a sponsor and I got that stuff all out, I've always said I just felt lighter ever since, like just opening up and being able to talk about that stuff. So when you were talking about that, it's exactly how it was for me. It's like all of a sudden I came out of there. I mean, I was scared to come out of rehab because now I have to live life without the drugs, but
Yeah.
it felt good to finally open up. When you got out of rehab, I want to, did you go straight to the 12-step meetings or how did that play out?
I did. I did. I was advised to immediately the next day go to a meeting in my area. Um, And what's funny is the sober coach knew people in my area. Like, this man goes all over the world. He's amazing. Um, can I say his name?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
J. Albee,
Jay
J-A-Y,
Albee.
J.
Is he,
Albee.
still a sober coach now?
Yeah, yeah, he is. The man's
Cool.
amazing. And oh, I lost my train of thought.
Oh, we're talking about 12-step meetings after rehab.
Right, right. Sorry. So he knew somebody in my area and he set me up with this temporary sponsor, which was great. So I didn't even really have to do that. And then I found that her and I didn't click so well. But I found someone on my own and she's amazing. So I have a sponsor, and I sponsor, I have a sponsee, and it's nice to be able to help people now and help them, work through their stuff. And yeah, but I found the meetings when I got home were really important because I felt a connection to people. If I had just gone home and not done anything, I think it would have been much easier to fall into maybe using drugs again, even though I was frightened about that. Connection is really important. When we lose the connection, like, I shouldn't be left alone. Like, right? You need to be with people. You need to have people in your life that you can reach out to. But I felt the meetings were really important. Even if I didn't believe, like there were things, the whole God word was really difficult at first to grasp because I didn't want to get hooked up in some kind of like another religious thing. That's how I took it. So, um, but it's not that way. It's just knowing that um, a higher power helped to get me out of hell. You know, somebody jumped down in that hole and pulled me out, and that's a fact because I shouldn't be here. I really should not be here. Um, but I find I find that as soon as I got out of rehab, I think it took me a year, about a year around there. And then I decided that I needed to do something to help other people. And what could I do? What was really going to be helpful? And I thought of the workbook because I thought just writing a story, like writing my story of addiction, and my story is in there. It's in the back. That was really difficult to write.
Oh, you got your whole
Um,
story in there too?
yeah, I do. I do.
What
When
was
I
that
went
like writing it?
There were times when I have a friend and I said, I can't do this anymore. I think I have to wrap it up. And she said, no, 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 no. Like, you can't do that. Just pause. Just pause. Because as I was writing about my story, I mean, I'm bawling. I'm crying my eyes out because it's so painful. It's not an easy thing to write. It's not an easy thing to say. Even though I'm proud and I'm happy to be where I am, it's not like describing my vacation to Disneyland.
Yeah. That'd be a
You know?
rough vacation, huh?
Yeah. But I really did find the meetings very, very helpful to keep a connection with somebody who I could reach out to who would know where I have been. If, for example, if I couldn't get to my sponsor, I can always get to a meeting. There's meetings online. You don't physically have to go somewhere if you can't. If you're disabled, if you're unwell, but you need to speak to somebody, and like on TikTok, there's people online all the time, 24 hours a day. You can reach out, people like yourself. Um, there's all kinds of help out there if you want it. I think, I believe.
Do you ever have people that are dealing with addiction reach out to you on TikTok?
I haven't been on TikTok as much with addiction as I should have been. In the last, this is a side note, but in the last year, my husband and I moved and it took about 9 months. So I've taken a little step back. Now that all that is over, I am going to be on TikTok more and try to just help people. Like you said, just to support people and help get them through. And if they have questions, just be there to answer questions, you know?
Yeah. And I was going to ask you too. One of the things when I got sober, I used to think about my past and I felt guilty. I would remember the times that I hurt family members, old relationships, that I let down employers and stuff like that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I remember when I first got sober, it would just hit me sometimes. Like I'd think of something, oh man, remember that Christmas or remember this, I was going to ask you, how did you get past kind of the guilt from the past?
I had to really accept who I was. It's me that is an addict and an alcoholic. And I really had to face it. It wasn't going to go away. For years and years and years, I tried, like I said before, to just, I didn't want to be an alcoholic or an addict. I didn't want to be associated with it. Um, yeah, I just had to, once I accepted it, everything got better. I think the book helped me. The book helped me put things into perspective and know that I wasn't a bad person. Um, and I just had to, like I said, I just had to accept it. Once I stopped fighting it, I had to embrace it because it's part of who I am. It's not, it's not just, I'm not just an addict or just an alcoholic. I have all kinds of, um, great qualities and I have other things that aren't so great, but here I am, you know, and we all have to help each other. It's hard. On the back of the book, I wrote, maybe if Greta Thunberg were an adult or were an addict, governments around the world would indicate a comprehensive approach to treat the addiction crisis, right? Like there's so many more things that the government can do to help us. There's, more treatment facilities. There needs to be something out there, I feel, to treat like childhood trauma, to be able to avoid us just getting um, on that addiction train, you know? Um, there's more that needs to be done. Like everything just seems to be about money and who can make the most money. And um, you have to care about yourself. You have to work on yourself. No one's like, the government's not going to just build 100 more or 1,000 more rehab facilities. We have to help each other until hopefully that day comes. I would love to own a rehab and be able to house as many people as I could and help them. I really would. I really hope this book takes off to be able for me um, to help more people. They are using this book in a rehab in the States, in Pennsylvania. They're using parts of it. So I am really excited because, like I said, I've been mailing around these little flyers to rehabs actually all over the world.
Oh,
Um,
have you?
I have. I've spent a small fortune just trying to advertise my book. They've been
Yeah.
to a book is in Africa, the United States, um, Australia, London. So I'm just trying to spread the word because I think it's a really good place to start, you know, especially if you can't get into a program. You can at least identify your shortcomings and you can start to work through your stuff, and it's work at your own pace. There's no exam at the end, no test, you know, just work at your own pace. And after every chapter, it does say, like, if you've been triggered, please reach out to someone, take a break, things like that. Like, it's a very supportive book. It's not just here's the questions thrown at you. It's it's inspirational. I even have little quotes throughout the book, like addiction is not your fault, but healing is your responsibility.
Oh, that's a good one.
Right? Like I've got really great things in here to help just keep the flow going, to keep you to make people want to keep going. But yeah, this book, once it's completed, will be all about the person filling it out. There's no two addictions are exactly alike. Craving is craving is craving. We can all, definitely relate to that. But everybody's story is a bit different. And it's important to get out what you need to get out. Get rid of your bricks.
Yeah, get rid of all that stuff holding us down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's cool that it's already, it must feel good to have got sober and now be in recovery and write this book and being able to see, Australia buy it or the rehab in Pennsylvania is now using it. That must feel good at the end of the day.
It does more than you know. More than you know. Because I'm a giver, you know. I love to give. I love to help people. And I just know that this is helping quite a few people. Um, so I'm excited for it to just keep going. I want to get the word out, but um I thought, what was funny is as soon as I wrote the book, I thought, okay, I'm done. That's great, you know? And then you're saddled with having to market it yourself. So I've been placing ads on TikTok and Insta and Facebook, and I have different groups called the Addiction Trauma Workbook, and I try to make some posts every day and keep people positive. And um, yeah, that's under where I'm at now.
That's awesome. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think everyone realizes how much work it is to write a book. All the marketing that goes into it and advertising and stuff. That's cool. I want to ask you now, you've been sober now for 7, 8 years. It is. How are the relationships with family improved and friends and stuff like that?
Oh, it's amazing. Thank God. Well, I got clean and sober 6 months before my mother passed away. And thank God, I think that was divinely influenced because I wouldn't have been able to handle her passing and being actively using. So, um, my family trusts me now. I have grandchildren. I babysit. Um, people don't, people, my, my kids don't look as frightened as they used to. They don't see me as, oh God, she could go out one day and just go to the liquor store and buy some alcohol or what have you. They don't have that fear anymore. Um, we all just support each other. We have a little text group that we all chat with each other every morning in, and see that everybody's doing good. And it's it's so much better. It's even better than it was before because adopting these things that are in the book to make myself more calm and relaxed. Like I'm I went back and I'm looking at doing alternative therapies to help people with their anxiety and depression and things. And I'm a Reiki master now. So I do help to still heal people and keep them calm. And um, that's where I'm at now. So I've really adopted a sober life. Do you know what I mean? And I love it. It's not, it doesn't have to be as fast paced and crazy. And I take time for myself. I meditate each day. I get quiet. You need to get yourself quiet for about 20 minutes a day and just turn off, your brain saying, we need milk. I got to go to the store. I still have to do this. Just turning all your chatter off and just sitting quietly really, really helps to center you and get you started on a good day.
Was that hard to do in the beginning, the meditation? Did you have to kind of
Yes.
practice that?
Very hard. Yes. Because I would lay down and it started in rehab. So you would do the half an hour meditation. Sometimes they were guided meditations. So the facilitator would take you on a mindful journey. They would help to get you relaxed. But all the while they were speaking, my mind was going about what am I going to do when I get out of rehab? I need to make money, blah, blah, blah. So it took a long time to be able to turn off my brain because, especially too in rehab, when I think about all the poisonous chemicals still floating around in my brain that I was putting in there, it takes time before that leaves your body. The more you can eat well, the more you can drink and rest, and the faster you will get all those toxins out of your body to be able to just relax. Um, I started doing heroin because I couldn't fall asleep with the coke, right?
Yep.
So you're always just pinging, like ping, 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 and you need to. Once that leaves your body, you need to find things to keep you calm. And things like that have really helped. Even like having one coffee a day and not putting those stimulants in your body to wind you up. Like, you know, have a nice hot cup of water with a couple of cloves and. Um, it's really relaxing and it's antioxidant and there's all kinds of good things that you can do for yourself. So I think really changing your whole perception of health that's what happened to me. And then being the nurse, I really have changed my diet, changed um, what I put into my body. So I don't just kind of buy chocolate and chips and stuff like that. I'm really looking at what I'm putting into my body to be able to help it. I don't want to wind it all up on chocolate and then, you know, it just helps to keep yourself calm. Does that make sense? Am I rambling?
No, no, no. It totally makes sense. And I agree with you. It's like being mindful of kind of what you're doing and where your anxiety's at and eating right and getting sleep and doing the meditation stuff. It's no, I'm totally with you. I was just listening and I'm like, yeah, that's really good advice. I was going to
Yeah.
ask you, did you end up, after you got sober, did you end up going back to the nursing or were you done working at that point?
I was done working at that point. I did go to a rehab way back. The first rehab was in 1999. And I did go back to nursing after that. And I had contracts set up with the College of Nurses, where I wasn't allowed to carry narcotic keys. And I had a very strict contract, and I had to go to a group once a week in the city for 5 years, with other doctors, nurses, anyone that was a medical professional. So there were doctors, nurses, veterinarians, pharmacists, um, anybody in the medical field that had an addiction issue. We went to a group and it was called Caduceus. So, you know, the medical symbol with the snakes on it?
Yeah.
That's called Caduceus. So that's what the name of the group is called, Caduceus. And you go to that and the doctor, and then you see the doctor every few months, and you are in a random urine program. So I would dial a phone number, and each morning, if my color came up, so for example, if I was new in the 5 years, I would have to provide a urine maybe 4 times a month, random urine. So, for example, I would be assigned the color red. So I would make the phone call, and if they said red, the color today is red, I had to get to the lab and pee to prove that I was clean and sober. So that goes on for 5 years. So
Five
they want
years.
5 years yeah, 5 years. It was, yeah. But it was, I mean, it's important to keep the public safe, right? When I think about me using, me, the nurse using, and me, the nurse not using, I was two different people.
Yeah.
Um, I would, um, I don't want to say things that are going to incriminate me, but for the most part, I would, at work, lie and say that I dropped a vial on the floor and I would waste it and then I would pocket it and I'd go home and I'd take it. Right. So there's ways around it. Like it wasn't, it wasn't a great job to have as an addict because there were drugs everywhere. Initially, they moved me from, or they gave me an option to move back to another unit where there wouldn't be as many drugs. So I went back um, to that area, and it was safe and it was great. And then I think I stayed there for about a year and a half, and then bumping happened at the hospital, and I was bumped out of that position and went to another unit, despite the fact that I had these conditions. They because I was clean and sober, they would um they said that I was probably okay to go to this other unit. And then eventually you do get your narcotic keys back and you have your full license back. But if you don't maintain a good, healthy program, things happen in your life. I had 10 years clean at that time. Um, I relapsed. So this is my third time relapsing. And like I said, I've got 7 years now under my belt and I don't plan on doing it again. So you can't just abandon everything that you know because you think, well, I've got all these years and I'm good now. It doesn't work like that, unfortunately. So it's like having heart disease or diabetes. I'm a diabetic, and I'm a diabetic. I caused diabetes in my own body because of drinking.
Oh, really?
And my daughter would say that to me, Mom, you're going to be diabetic. You're going to be diabetic. And I said, no, I won't. No, I won't. And I'm type 2 diabetic. I have diabetes and I have a severely fatty liver because of the alcohol. So I don't want one more drop. Oh, sorry, that was the dryer.
Oh, you're good.
Um, um, and that's where I am today. So I've got like three clean dates, um, 1999, 2008, and 2017.
Yeah.
And that's
How
how
did
it works.
the relapse after 10 years, how did that play out? Did you think you were good? Like you've accomplished enough or you've changed enough that were you overconfident? How did that one happen?
Um, the first thing I want to say is, I have never, until I was about 50, I was always able to have a social drink. Like I was, and I just thought, well, I can have a drink because I'm not addicted to it. And eventually you become addicted to it. So I did. I did get addicted to the alcohol. And then that spiraled. And it was just the one day at work, there I was. It was night shift. And I don't recall what was all going on in my life at that time. Oh, I know. I was going through the divorce. I was, excuse me, I was going through the divorce with my first um, husband, my ex-husband, who was really abusive. And I put my hand back into the cookie jar because it just seemed to be too much to handle. And I was connected to people, but I didn't reach out. So just because, you do have these things, you still have to push through the hard. I was told that once. It's hard being an addict, it's hard using, and it's hard being clean. So choose your hard, right?
Wow,
Push,
that's a good one.
choose your hard. I love that. So my hard right now is staying clean and sober, but so far so good. And it's harder to use. It's harder to be in and so sick and not having any energy. And oh my God, I really don't want to ever go back to that. Because this time, like before it was pills, and this time too, yeah, I was injecting. And I know that if I were to ever use again, I will die. And I don't want to. I have no desire to leave this world yet if it's not my time. I don't want to cause that to happen. I love life. Life is hard, but I'm happier being here than not, and happier helping people and, help them realize that we're all here for a reason. There's a reason why you're here. There's a reason why I'm here. And there's a reason why the people that are listening to this podcast are here and why they didn't succumb to their addiction. So there's something that they need to do to help others. Like there's something. We're all here for a specific reason. And I'm a giver. I'm a healer. I love to help people. You know, um, I still feel that for some crazy reason, this was all meant to happen to me. I don't know. So I can jump in the hole and help to get somebody out, take them by the hand and say, come on, you got this. You can do it. If I can do it, and I was in my 50s, you know, um, it's never too late to turn around, you know, and there's people here that are more than willing to help. And I'm one of them.
Yeah, thank you, Lori. I appreciate everything that you've talked about. It's been super cool to listen to. We had a lot in common. I was doing the IV heroin use, and it's just a rough life. It's a whole nother ball game. I mean, with alcohol, you can get just as many problems with alcohol and other substances. But I found that when you're doing the IV stuff, it's death is coming. It's not if, it's when. And I love that you've been able to come on here and talk about your book and all of your experience and stuff. I normally ask people at the end of each episode, I say, what would your advice be to someone who is just starting their journey? Maybe they've had a couple relapses. Maybe they've been to a couple treatment centers. What would your advice be to them?
My advice would be to attach yourself, really attach yourself to somebody that is clean and sober, that you feel that you can talk to. That's number one. You need a person. You need a human being. You need somebody that you can reach out to. It's so important because if you're on your own, you know, you may not make the right decisions if you're left on your own. I really think you need to get, like I said, you need to get glued to somebody in recovery, somebody who can help you. And that I think is the best advice because that's what happened to me. I slowly let things go because I didn't want to be known as an addict or an alcoholic or anything anymore. And I tried to do it on my own. Well, my way doesn't work. You know, we don't have to reinvent the wheel here. This book doesn't reinvent the wheel. It just writes all things out so that you don't forget something, so that you can address your inner demons. And yeah, stay connected and get your stuff out, work on, because like if you have something buried deep down inside, do not think that's going to haunt you in 2 years, 5 years, 1 year, next month. You gotta get it out. You gotta work through that hard. Get that hard shit out. Like, don't keep it locked up inside. Like I said, it's really hard, but you gotta get this stuff out. You have to understand yourself. You have to love yourself. And just, ask yourself if you want to be here. Do you want to be here or do you want to die? What do you want? It's that easy. I want to live. So I stay connected. And like I said, you have to work out your stuff. There's so many things that we keep in our minds that are so hurtful to our bodies. When you're angry, you hold the anger in your liver. Anger is held in your liver. There's so many natural things to be able to help purge your body of all the poison. It's important to get a really healthy regime going, to love yourself, to eat right, to sleep, to avoid conflict, drama, Trump, Trudeau, money, tariffs. Oh my God, like turn off the radio and just work on yourself. Stay connected.
Yeah, thank you, Lori. That's amazing. That's a lot of really good advice. You covered a lot of awesome stuff. I appreciate you coming on here. Is there anything else that you want to say about the book before we close out? Anything you want to add?
No, I guess I would just repeat, if there is anybody, the book is on Amazon and Walmart and Indie. And if you did want me to mail you some of these cards to hand out, I don't really know how we do that, but maybe Drew could help connect us and I'd be happy to mail some out. So thank you, everybody. Thanks for listening and stay clean, stay sober, 24 more hours. Let's go.
Let's go. Thank you, Lori. Appreciate you. I will put I'll put the link for the book and everything in the episode,
Great.
in the episode notes and all that. Thank you, Lori.
Thanks so much, Drew.
All right, you made it through another episode. Thanks again, and if you'd like to collaborate or come on the show, please email me at thesoberfixpodcast@gmail.com. Have a great day.